Hey guys, it's me, Carlo Angelo Gonzalez, and welcome to the iVolunteer podcast, the first ever podcast of iVolunteer in the internet. And I am joined by JB Tan. JB Tan, say hi.
Hi.
All right, great. So, what are we going to do in this podcast? Why did we set it up? What is this podcast for? Essentially, the I Volunteer podcast is a podcast where we talk about volunteerism in general, how it's like being a volunteer in the Philippines, and essentially bayanihan, generally that kind of stuff. So yes, we can speak Tagalog para hindi na ako mag-nosebleed. Pero ayun, JB, introduce yourself.
Hi. So I'm JB Tan. I'm the founder of iVolunteer. I'm one of the three founders of iVolunteer. So today I am acting as the executive director of iVolunteer. At the same time, I also have a sideline, which I'm a project management professional, uh, doing projects for information technology. So yun.
All right. That's a sideline? So that was your main job. Okay. Well, okay, sige.
I consider iVolunteer my main job.
Awesome. All right. So I volunteer is essentially what? This is where we tell you what I volunteer is, or JB will tell you what I volunteer is. So what is I volunteer, man?
Well, we're basically movement. Okay, so our dream is to have everybody or every Filipino volunteering, right? Contributing to the growth of the country. So how do we do that? Very simple. One is we partner with different NGOs. We prefer to partner with the smaller NGOs who doesn't have the means to promote themselves. Uh, get their programs, partner with them, identify their volunteer opportunities. Then we make this accessible to every Filipino by leveraging online and social media capabilities. So in this way, anyone who has the time or the skill that they wanted to share can simply go to ivolunteer.com.ph, check out what are the volunteer availability during their preferred timing, then they can simply sign up.
Okay,
So that's very, very what iVolunteer is.
Okay. I guess a very relevant question would be, why did you put it up?
Why did we put it up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it all started in 2009. I'm sure you guys are able to relate. Ondoy, September 2009, right? Back then, we saw a lot of passion from every Filipino to help. But unfortunately, they have been going to the big media giants to do the relief. Unfortunately, these media giants cannot accommodate all of them, and on live television, they have been saying na please go to other centers because our distribution centers are already very packed with volunteers. So there was a surplus of volunteer effort, and these people didn't know where to go. Where in fact there are these operations, smaller operations that needed help. But since they were not so famous and didn't have the capability to promote themselves, people didn't know where to go or where to find them. So this is where the entire concept of iVolunteer started. How can we really make it accessible for these people, and how do we help these smaller groups to promote themselves without spending too much, like unlike other organizations which I will not name. They are already famous. You see them in the malls. They can promote themselves very well.
Yep.
But there are a lot of these smaller NGOs who are very specific or targeted to the communities that they help with.
Call them out. Call them out. Just kidding. No, you don't have to call them out. Okay. So what are the hurdles? I guess what are the problems? What were the um, obstacles you have to go through in establishing I Volunteer as a nonprofit?
Well, it's not easy. So as you mentioned earlier, I do have a regular day job, which I consider my side
Day
hustle.
job is an
To be
obstacle.
honest. No, but we have all three founders have very limited capacity, have very limited time. So to put up a full-time NGO is not easy, I would
Mhm.
say. We could have easily volunteered to another NGO and channeled our energy there. But why did we start this to begin with? Because there was this untapped need, or sorry, unmet need to promote volunteerism per se, right? There are a lot of people who have been volunteering or have causes in terms of education, environment, and now disaster as we get more and more bigger disasters. But no one has been promoting volunteerism. Um, in yun, meron talagang there is really a gap, and that's why we decided na to put our own NGOs versus just volunteering to another one. And yun, since yun, unang-una, we had very limited time. We also have very limited resources, financial resources to start this. And also, people who don't have any, ano tawag dito, NGO background, right?
Mhm.
So, all three of us were volunteers before, but we didn't have any background on how to run an NGO, right? Or even how to set up an NGO. So that was already a very big hurdle.
Okay, cool.
And as time goes by, since we are 100% run by volunteers, people change priorities, and that is a fact of life that
Yeah.
people move from one stage to another. Nag-graduate sila, they get married, they have children, and the priorities of people change.
Yeah.
So the people that we have started with a few years back have already moved on, some of them.
I
So
missed one, but
we
yeah.
need to keep on recruiting more people. Yeah, sorry, Carlo.
Nothing. Anyway, this anyway.
Yun. I-rewind ko to mamaya to get your comment.
No. Ayan. Where were we? Oh yeah. So you've been like when I got into iVolunteer. By the way, guys, if you have a question, just type in. We have an audience. Just letting you know, not very much because we haven't been actively promoting this in the social medias very much. But once we've managed to get this content out, we'll find out how it does, and then we will eventually get some people in here out so hopefully outside of I volunteer so they can join in. I guess my next question, I was going into a story pero naisip ko this has to be relevant, and I think this is more important is how you mentioned something about members just changing priorities, and I guess my other question would be how do you get these volunteers? I actually uh, got into I volunteer because I did a Google search because I wanted to change the world. Was Superman mentality. But I guess what I'm asking is how do you usually get members? Like staff
Okay,
members.
it's not easy to be honest, Carlo, because a lot of people don't connect very well with children, with poverty, with environment, with animals, right, or with agriculture. But
Yep.
not a lot of people really understand what promoting volunteerism is. So to be honest, it's very difficult. At the same time, since we're more of an enabler, an NGO who is an enabler, very different from um, a lot of other NGOs that you see that there are direct um, interaction with communities, right? So may
Mm-hmm.
inaalagaan talaga silang community, or it's very specific. Their advocacies are very specific. Whereas for iVolunteer, it's more on being behind the scene, trying to connect the dots amongst the volunteers and the NGO ecosystem. So not a lot of people can relate to that. But how do we recruit? One is we target more those who have previous volunteer experience, because from that, as people mature as a volunteer or have more understanding, they see or they look forward to more sustainable programs, right? That is not just one-time volunteering, but also how can they create bigger impacts. And for some people, there are people who really is able to connect to the iVolunteer vision, but it's not everybody. So I mean, I'm not sure if I answered your question directly, but how we recruit is basically we look for those people who are searching for more sustainable impact na, rather than those who are just starting as a volunteer.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's nice. Okay, JB, can we check on our chat over there and find out if we have any questions?
Yes, actually, we do have one question.
All right.
So
What's the name of the?
question is,
Can we mention the name? Is she someone
uh,
we know by any chance, or he?
yeah, she's Jasmine.
Okay. Hi,
Okay. Her
Jasmine.
question is how do we manage? How do I manage my time? Uh, Juggling both I volunteer and my day job.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's a good
So it's really more, I would say, time management. Nothing very
secret. No
I
secret
would say
or
nothing secret. It's real time management. So I do ensure that I allocate enough time for each of the priorities or responsibility that I have committed to, right? So my day job obviously would, at the minimum, would require me to do my job 8 hours a day. So, and I volunteer. Ito yung medyo flexible, but we need to be careful of, because minsan as a volunteer, we tend to forget na yun, we have commitments, and since there are no hard commitments naman, and we don't get paid for this, we tend to deprioritize a lot of things. But for me, I do ensure that in each day or in each week, at least I allocate some time
yeah.
to ensure na yung responsibilities ko for iVolunteer we move forward.
Yeah. Would it be a challenge? Have you perceived it as some sort of challenge? I mean, managing your time with both work and I volunteer.
Well, it has always been a challenge,
Yeah.
especially when you are um, when you are on the top, right? People look after you to af- look at you na kailangan they follow you
Mm-hmm.
by example, di ba? So if I don't do something, if people see me slacking off in iVolunteer, how can I inspire the rest of organization
Mm-hmm.
to to fulfill their commitments din, di ba? So
Okay.
mahirap. And at times I also have to travel for work, yun nga. So earlier this week, Carlo, that I've been traveling. And yung mga pinupuntahan kong lugar is not very accessible. But I still try to make sure that I'm able to connect online, because that is how I volunteer work, to ensure na I address some of the immediate concerns of the team. And ayun, I don't become the bottleneck
Yeah.
of the
Mm-hmm.
organization.
Yeah. I didn't
So yun.
realize that was
So
a.
it's not easy, but it's manageable. Kung
Okay.
may gusto, kaya nga may salitang kung gusto, may paraan, kung ayaw, may dahilan.
Yep, and I know that quote very well. Anyway, I thought essentially this was a general question, but it was more of a question directed to you pala. Ako, as a volunteer, as an I volunteer, I also have a hard time. I also find it challenging to balance both work and I volunteer. But yeah, you'll keep finding ways, especially if you're inspired by the people around you in I volunteer. You'll find ways to keep being relevant to them and keep working for the cause. It's not just the people, although there's a. It's not just the people. It's also the It's also the it's what I volunteer stands for, B things, and that's essentially bawat Filipino bayani. And yeah, that's for me. That's why I keep sticking around. Ayun. So, what other things can we discuss?
There's another question.
Oh, Is this from
There's
Jasmine
another
again?
question.
Or oh, that's nice. Cool.
Yes, from Jasmine.
She's a fangirl now.
So,
Okay.
so ano ba, what
Sige.
ano ba? What made you stay in iVolunteer?
Ako? Or ikaw?
So siguro ikaw muna. Oh, ikaw.
Should I be honest? No, just kidding. Of course I have to be honest. Yeah, again, I mentioned kanina that it was really what I volunteer stood for, which is heroism and actually uh, caring about what's going on with the country now. I think the youth is suffering, young professionals, people in school, essentially, they're suffering from, actually, even adults, they're suffering from apathy because I don't know, it's probably the media that kept telling them. That's why parang wala na silang pakialam because everything is bad news. At least the economy, the corruption of government. Um I stick around because I want to prove that there's still hope, and we do that by helping each other. And helping each other is, and the bigger uh sense is actually volunteerism. It's bayanihan. So, ayun, that's why I stick around really. It's really that message. Ikaw, JB, what made you stay despite being the
Yeah.
co-founder?
Yeah. So ako naman, I'm sure all NGOs are doing some sort of social good. So, and iVolunteer is no exception to that. But I think what made me stay longer in iVolunteer is because I've treated the team as my family, so very close. Unlike siguro if I volunteer in other NGOs, it will be more siguro ano lang, transactional. I don't know, in the lack of a better term, transactional, that it's you do something, then you leave, you do something, then you leave. But in iVolunteer, somehow the group has already formed a very good relationship, and I would say it's already a family. So it's a bit cheesy,
It is.
but it is. But
Kind of make me
yun talaga yung
cringes
primary.
too, pero okay lang. You're the founder.
So you're like my son.
Oh my God. The humanity of it all. Pero okay. And what are the other questions you have down there?
Wala pa.
Okay, okay, cool. So I guess regarding the bonds that you mentioned, ang layo no, the bonds that we formed in iVol. Tapos, what are the specific, I guess, how does iVolunteer work in terms of like the website? Parang who handles the website for social media? Well, and essentially, ako rin nag-handle doon and some other people. Parang the people behind the lines. Who are those? And you know,
Paulit, Carlos.
ayun,
Sorry,
parang
choppy.
okay, I want to know, ako yung choppy, hindi yung net connection. How I ask the question. I guess my question is, who are the people behind I Volunteer? Like, and like yung mga different branches. Siguro this also serves as a call to action to those who might want to join us. Parang,
Yep.
how does it work?
Actually, it's very nice. When we started, lahat kami puro IT. So that's siguro why we came up with the website,
Nerds, oo.
because of our background. But today, the composition of the team is very different, and you see diverse people really coming together and trying to have a common goal, right? We do have some HR people, finance people, auditors, si Carlo, who is a social media consultant, ano pa bang mga iniisip ko pa, marketing. So, iba-iba talaga yung pinanggalingan ng mga tao behind iVolunteer, and it's very nice. Yun nga, if you see the website today, it was all developed and contributed by volunteers. So, it will not be where it is today, at wala tayong binayaran pa so far sa website, aside from the server hosting, which is very minimal, but all the labor behind the website was free. And I think all the people who have contributed to that.
Out of pure love. Oh, speaking of the website, aren't we doing something about that? We might want to tease them a little bit sa ano, sa what's going on with the website right now. Just a
Well,
minor
you're right,
teaser.
Carlo, na it's coming very soon. I'm excited as well
Mm-hmm.
na there will be some upgrades to the site.
Yeah.
Yun muna sasabihin ko ngayon. But it
Showbiz.
will come very soon. What I can tell is within this calendar year.
Yun.
Okay.
So,
So
abangan
watch
nyo
out
yan.
for that.
Yep. Ayun. So, I guess we can wrap up the podcast now if we don't have any other questions. Again, this is the I Volunteer podcast. Hopefully, we've answered who and what I Volunteer does.
May tanong pa.
Ano pa?
Ano,
Ulit ni
ano
Das?
daw ano daw maipapayo? What can we advise to those new
Okay.
volunteers?
Okay, you answer that first. Oh, wait, are we coming, what kind of volunteers? Yung mga nag-sign up through iVol? Or,
I don't know, anyone who wants to help.
I
Siguro.
guess, okay, sige, I'll go first. Firstly, you have to ask yourself muna, parang, and I think you already did, you have to ask yourself why you became a volunteer. Para it's clear to you bakit mo ginawa to. Because once you've established why, and once you believe it with it, believe in it with your, full heart and mind, you won't give up that easy eh. So, once you've established kung bakit ka nandito at ba't ka nang volunteer, you won't stop volunteering, kumbaga. And it's going to be a thing that will drive you until such time na you reach that end goal of or answering that why. Ayun, that's for me ako, I'm already aware of what's going on with the country. And yeah, I got lost in transition there. Something distracted me because there is something crawling on my desk and I just shoved it off. Pero ayun, basta ako, you just have to ask why, you have to establish that. Tapos just keep looking for that one advocacy or one cause that you really love and stick with it.
Yun. Ako kung may dadagdag ako, is to not get intimidated. Everybody has a place, right, in terms of how big or small you are contributing. It's still a contribution. And yun nga, as Carlo mentioned, try to find what is your drive. Okay, it can be sometimes the drive is very selfish. I have to admit when I started volunteering way back, my drive was really more for my personal growth rather than anything else, rather than contributing to the world or anything like that. But over time, I think I've developed somehow. I think I would love to think that I have grown and matured as a volunteer. But yun, it's fine. Whatever your drive is, find that drive. Then don't be shy. As long as you are helping and you're not hurting anyone, I think that's already a good start in terms of volunteering.
Yeah. Ako to add to that, parang you mentioned something about a personal thing. Ako that I don't it might sound selfish pero ako para sa akin okay lang kasi if you ayun parang you wanted to do it, 'di ba? And it's helping other people. That's actually more effective because you can't really expect to be more motivated. I forgot this is going to be published. It is going to be published, and I have to be careful about what I say. At least you're not hurting anyone, and yun talaga yung gusto mo. So just do it, and at least you're not hurting anyone. I'm being very very careful. But yeah, that's what I think. I don't think that's selfish at all. That's what I'm saying. All right. Okay. Any questions pa? So we can move on to the call to actions.
Wala na eh.
Okay.
Wala na.
So,
Wala na
okay.
muna.
Okay, sige. Okay, what we can look forward to in this show, on the podcast, is more guests, tapos more guests na hindi, or not necessarily an iVolunteer staff member. Mga like, if you've been to our community meetups, yun, parang ganun, we can have guests like those, and we'd love to have them in the show for you to ask questions to, and to discuss topics. Essentially, that's what we'll be discussing: volunteering news, and the news. That's a lot of talking. We're going to have a lot of talk about the news, especially ngayon that it so many things to talk about the news. Pero yun, JB, where can we find I Volunteer, and where can we find you as online? Maybe as a professional, yeah.
So I guess you mean I volunteer, not me personally.
Well, yeah.
So you can visit ivolunteer.com.ph. So that's where you can find what volunteer opportunities are available. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. It's iVolunteerFields or iVolunteerPH. Or if you really want to drop me a note, you can write me an email at contactus@ivolunteer.com.ph. Again, that's contactus@ivolunteer.com.ph.
Do you have anything special for the coming week? Like maybe some volunteer opportunities?
Wait, ito na. Teka, bubuksan ko ang ating website.
Yeah, I should have told you about this earlier. Yeah, we are going to announce some I volunteer opportunities that you guys can check out. We will link them in the description of this YouTube video, and that will be awesome. I can't do it because
Okay.
I'm recording.
So this upcoming week, we do have
Is that the weekend?
6 volunteer opportunity for the weekend. So 4 on the Saturday and 2 on Sundays.
All right.
So on October 24, there will be a feeding program in Quezon City that is care of Karinderya ni Mang Urot. So actually, just to introduce Karinderya ni Mang Urot, they're doing this weekend feeding program to a community within Quezon City. Actually, it's a house. It's just a private house. Then they cook and distribute some food outside of their house. This is in Quezon City, corner Examiner Street, West Triangle, Quezon City.
All right.
So that is October 24, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Again, that's 8 p.m. sa gabi.
All right. Cool.
Okay? Then there's another one with You Happy Events. You Happy Events naman, their advocacy is really more on children, helping children, and also promoting volunteerism in general.
Okay.
So they will have an art workshop with the Gawad Kalinga Tagig this coming Saturday. That's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, ano pa bang meron dito? We also have Haribon Foundation. Haribon, I think, is more popular, so their advocacy is really more in environment.
Mm-hmm.
There will be an Haribon Bird Kite Festival this coming October 25 pa rin from 2 to 5:30 p.m. at Burnham Green Rizal Park.
Oh,
So,
sounds
sa Rizal
nice.
Park. It's also a nice place to visit because Rizal Park has been recently renovated.
All right. Sounds
And
good.
at 7 p.m., I think there's a light show, so people can stay over to watch the light show and fountain show.
All right. Anything else?
Okay. Ano pa ba? Okay, on Saturday, meron pa rin tulong sa kapwa kapatid. So, ito naman, they're teaching. Ano ba yung tinuturo nila ngayon? I think it's math or English. English. For this year, they are teaching the kids of Payatas English. So yun. So every year they change their curriculum. But specifically for Saturday, they have a field trip in the Mind Museum. So this is very exciting. So for those who have not gone to the Mind Museum, this is a good chance na makapunta kayo and at the same time help some kids or be the ate and the kuya of some kids. This will happen from 3 to 6 p.m. on Saturday.
Sa Taguig yung Mine Museum, right? Or
Yes, okay.
yeah. All right. Okay. Cool.
Okay, the entrance fee for the kids is already paid for. But for the volunteers, you have to pay for your own entrance
Yep,
fee.
definitely. All right. So, if we don't have any other iVol events, I guess, or if there are more, you can check out our site, ivolunteer.com.ph. And that's it. You can check out our Twitter, to be more specific, at twitter.com ivolunteerphils. And also our Facebook at facebook.com/I volunteer feels. And that's it. I don't want to mention mine because we'll do it some other time when there are other when there are other social media people, and they can mention our guests, they can mention their social media places. So that about wraps it up for the very first I Volunteer podcast. I hope you guys learned a lot about the program, about the organization, rather, program. Well, about this program. And that's it. We'll see you guys next week. And that'll be it. See you guys.